Hey guys, what's up? It's Andrew. This is pretty much the one of the last videos I'm making for month number 11. And this video is actually going to be a little different because the last assignment that I have for public speaking is to do a self-evaluation podcast. And my instructor, she gave us a document that has a couple different questions on here. So I'm going to read through the questions and discuss, my thoughts about it and everything. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so question number 1. Did you have any public speaking experience prior to coming to Full Sail University, and how did you feel about it? So I did actually have some experience. I was section leader for the drumline in my marching band, so I was drumline section leader for 2 years before I came down here to Full Sail, and so after every practice, I would have to address a group of 70 plus people at the end of every single practice. So, I mean, at first, when I first started doing that, yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, but, I got used to it. And so, I'm really comfortable in front of a group of people, actually, which kind of goes in with number 2. I feel really good about my communication skills, especially when it comes to public speaking, I suppose. One of the reasons I actually decided to take the campus class is because I wanted to get in front of people and talk about things. Now, with that, I kind of forgot that other people are going to have to get up and talk too. um, but I was ready to get back in front of people. It was fun to do. So number 3, how did you utilize ethos, pathos, and logos when delivering any of your speeches? I think these 3 elements kind of came out with my speeches. I think just trying to keep it conversational, kind of like how Gar Reynolds references make sure it's conversational, make sure you're easy to relate to and everything. Relating to that, I think those 3 things kind of just come out naturally. It wasn't really anything that I was trying to be too conscious of because I didn't want to sound like I was trying too hard, but I did want to make sure that they were in there. I think just being conversational about it was really the way to go about it. So number 4, what were your eye contact, volume projection, gestures, and movements like during your speeches? Again, I feel like I did really good on all the speeches. I think my lowest grade was a 95, and that was with the group project. So I think with all those types of things, I know I project good. I know that I have good eye contact, so I'm not afraid to look people in the eye. Gestures, I'm really relaxed up there, or at least I feel really relaxed when I'm in front of people, so, I'm not, like, nervous too much or anything. I mean, a little nervous is good, but not too much, of course. I don't know. I think all those things were really good in my speeches. Of course, there are always things that could be better. I know I looked down at the ground a little bit during the first and second speech, but it wasn't anything major. Number 5. So yeah, it brings us to number 5. Were you nervous during any of the presentations? Well, of course I was nervous. There's always nerves when it's something you care about and you want to do good on. And I think the biggest thing that I was nervous about was just going in and forgetting what I was going to say, which of course the note cards really helped. But I think ultimately, yeah, it was just about knowing the subject, knowing what you were talking about, knowing the slideshow, and things like that. So, of course, I just, as with everyone, I was nervous, but, try not to let that show. So, number 6, how did you apply the visual concepts from Gar Reynolds? All right, so Gar Reynolds, we watched some of his stuff in class, and I actually ended up really liking what he had to say. And actually, while I was preparing my presentation, or before I started putting the slideshow together and doing this research, I would actually watch a Gar Reynolds video where he was talking about the stuff, so I could kind of get in the mode and the mindset of just, the presentation zen, as he calls it. So I really like what he has to say about keeping it simple, keeping it, clean and pure, and just, what's the word, just as minimalistic as possible. I really tried to stay true to that and not do too many fancy things. And when I did, they were meant to be more as embellishments more than, hey, look at this, because again, as we discussed, it is more about the presenter instead of the slideshow. So number 7, how did the audience respond to your presentations? Did they seem engaged? Well, I'll be honest, when you're up there presenting, I think it's sort of like an adrenaline rush type of a thing where you're not too sure if the audience is engaged or not. But after my speeches, days later, just talking to my classmates, they all said that what I had to say was really interesting, or it was a really good speech. So I am assuming from that yes, they were pretty engaged. They were following what I was saying. They found that it was pretty interesting stuff. So I was proud of that. That made me feel really good that I actually had something interesting to say. Number 8, did you have any delivery or technology errors in any of your presentations? If so, how did you recover? I can't remember which speech it was, but there was one of them where I think it was the persuasion speech, and there were some numbers that I had to read off because I had a graph or something, and I couldn't remember the numbers, and I almost choked. Then I kept calm, I anticipated it happening, looked at my note card, all was well. So the note cards definitely helped there. Number 9, which speech did you enjoy giving the most? Probably, well, this is, I guess, I don't think I'm allowed to have two of them, but the first two, honestly, were the most fun because we were up there by ourselves and we actually did have to put a presentation together, and that to me was a lot of fun. So both the persuasive speech and the informative speech, those were both enjoyable for myself. 10. Which speech was the most challenging? I would definitely say the group speech was the most challenging, just because it was hard to get everybody together and coordinate everything. And I'm sure this is what most other people are going to say as well. But yeah, definitely the hardest thing was the coordinating everything together. But we ended up getting like a Dropbox for our group and everything, and it worked out just fine. All right, number 11. What do you think is your biggest delivery challenge? Probably my confidence and just knowing that I'm prepared for something. Like I think one of my many faults is not thinking that I'm prepared enough. Like maybe I didn't do enough research or I didn't read enough. So that's probably my biggest thing about delivery is I'm just afraid that I'm going to forget what I'm supposed to say. All right, so number 12, what do you think is your biggest challenge concerning research preparation? This is probably an easy one. Just like it is with most people, procrastination. That is probably most people's biggest downfall is procrastination. And that is why I am glad that we were really emphasized on the point of pick something that you feel strongly about because you'll want to do the research. And I think that really helped out a lot. I really kind of tried to stay on top of things. I think the worst thing was probably having to cite all the pictures because we have to use a picture for just about every slide, and that adds up, So I think that was probably one of the biggest bummers of the whole thing, I suppose you could say. Number 13, what did you learn from watching other presentations this month? Reference any other public speaking performance. So what did I learn from watching other presentations? I learned more of not what to do than what to do. For example, don't get up there impromptu is okay a little bit, but for the most part, some of my classmates definitely did not put together very impressive speeches for sure. So let's see. I think also the Gar Reynolds stuff really helped out, just about the being calm and being just totally level-headed about everything. So I think Gar Reynolds, more than anything, taught me how to really just be comfortable up there when you're talking about something. How did you manage your time constraints for each of your presentations? This came down to just practice and doing it over and over and over again and tweaking it until I got it right. At least that's how it was for the first one. The second one was hard. I pretty much did what Gar Reynolds suggested and wrote down everything that I wanted to say and then just crossed out the least important and left in the main points that I thought should be focused on the most out of everything. Because for the persuasive speech, I had so many different things I could have talked about, like with the dairy stuff, but I narrowed it down to 3 things, and that's how I ended up keeping my time under or just within the limit. So really it was just about choosing what I wanted to say more than anything. 15. How would you rate your public speaking performances this month as a scale of 1 to 4? Compared to, okay, if 1 is the worst and 4 is the best, I would definitely say I was probably like a 3.8 or something. Now that might be shooting pretty high. Most people would be like, "Oh man, you're cocky and all that." But like I said, I scored really good grades on it. I felt really confident going into all of them, and I was prepared. I did the work. I knew what I was talking about. I enjoyed it, so I think I did really well this month. For sure, especially compared to some of the other folks that went in the class. But I mean, I don't like to play that card or anything. All right, so to number 16, the last question. What are your feelings concerning public speaking after your experiences this month? Well, I think pretty much. I think the only thing that's changed is really the usage of a slideshow. Um, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable using images and text as like on the wall, because I know how to do that. Before, I had no idea how to put together a good slideshow. I thought the bullet points was how it was supposed to be, because you always see, like in public school, that's kind of just the what it is, and I guess a lot of different colleges elsewhere as well. Um, but no, I think the only thing that's really changed, because I still feel just as comfortable, just as confident with getting in front of people and talking, but really my confidence has changed in the sense that I know how to use visual aids a lot better, and I really understand how they can be very powerful and very effective. So overall, the class was really good. I enjoyed it. So again, my name is Andrew Wurst. I was in the 115 class from Miss Heather Halter. So thanks for joining me today. Yeah, public speaking wasn't so bad. It's actually a cool class. I think the worst part about it is having to watch everybody else's speech, especially when it's something about something boring. But who am I to talk? Someone could have thought I was boring. So anyway, until next time, take it easy, and I will catch you then.